What if I could show you how to become so valuable to your clients, to your team members, to your community, that you could effectuate the change that you really want to see happen in your organization, in your community, and that change could be lasting, and that you would also be valued for that change. Today, I'm going to share with you the secrets of the top contrarians, people like Ray Dalio and Peter Thiel. The contrarian is someone that's a little bit different, that is a little bit against the flow, against the grain. In order to be a contrarian, you have to be someone that is proactively pushing against the consensus. I think it was Chesterton that told us that a dead thing only goes with the flow of the river, but only a living thing can go against the river. That there must be an evidence of life, of energy, of movement, of motion to push against the consensus of the crowd, the consensus of the market. And only by pushing against the consensus of the market and what everyone else is doing can you find revolutionary profits, strategies, and momentum to move your life, to move your community, to move your organization into the next level. And today I want to show you not just how to become a contrarian, but how to become a smart contrarian. If you think about marketing, if you think about the way that the world works with attention. Attention is the main driver. It is the main currency of the world. A business that is ignored is a business that will die. A person who is ignored is a person who will not accomplish very much. Likewise, ideas have to garner attention in order to gain momentum. But the new ideas that come up that push against the consensus, that push against the mainstream, those ideas are the ones that really revolutionize the world. This is what we saw through the Reformation, through the Dark Ages. We saw this through the advent of the scientists over the last 500 years. We saw this with the advent of Christianity, the advent of the newer ways of philosophizing, beginning back with Heraclitus from 660 BC, moving forward. There were always new ways of thinking about systems, thinking about social structures, and thinking about economics. And the contrarians, in the end, are the ones that move things forward and to become a stalwart, a bulwark against the chaos of the organizations, the chaos of the world around them. And if you think about economics, you think about the idea of consensus. That if we're in an open market, where there's open pricing discovery, this is the way that Ray Dalio puts it. Ray Dalio says that if we're in an open market with full pricing discovery, that the consensus is the full-born market price. That if you're doing what everyone else is doing, that you're paying the full market price, and that the pricing discovery is already up in the open. What the contrarian does, he fights against that. He never pays full market price for an asset. He's looking for a different angle. She's looking for a different way to get a better result, better way that is de-risked from the market movement, that is against the grain, that flows in a different way. And it takes a little bit longer. The contrarian, especially the smart contrarian, needs to be patient with how they work. If you stick around, I'll tell you the 4 traps of being normal, as well as the 4 secrets to becoming a smart contrarian. Not just a regular contrarian, that's a little bit different, but the smart contrarian who gets business done, that changes their community, changes their organization, changes their teams for the better, and revolutionizes the ideas around them. You know, we spoke about the idea of tension within marketing. Marketing is only the attention-seeking activity of a objective organization. That if you don't have attention, you don't have currency. The organization that doesn't have attention doesn't have gravity, and it will succinctly die. And so in business, just like in nonprofit world, we're looking for a differentiation strategy. We want to be different. We want to push the boundaries of what we can do. This is by having a different culture, a different strategy. I said a sculpture, which is a blend between a strategy and a culture. So this differentiation strategy is really where you want to be, not only from a operational strategy, but also from a branding and a culture position. And so the 4 pitfalls, the 4 traps of just being normal, not being a smart contrarian, fall under the guise of the idea of the dominant logic. That if you're normal, you're trapped within the dominant logic of the industry, of the community, of the world. You're aligned with the crowd. And as long as you're aligned with the crowd, you will miss out on opportunities to innovate. This is why you can't run your business. You can't run your organization like all the other organizations, because you will get mediocre results. And most businesses most organizations fail very, very rapidly. So you need a differentiation strategy to set yourself above the others. You want to either go big or go home, and you want to find out very, very rapidly. The worst thing to happen would be that you have a subpar organization that meanders throughout the years and wastes time, wastes energy. You want to have a differentiation strategy and go all in on that differentiation strategy, but you have to first be right. The second trap is the trap of incumbents. That incumbents, people that have had success in the past, that have been in the industry for a long time, they are trapped within this dominant logic framework, that they are trapped in their minds, that their own success has brought them. And they're trapped in their ego, they're trapped in their intuition, they're trapped in their own network, that they are ones that believe that they've always done things right, so they don't need to look out, they don't need to pivot. And this is one of the fatal flaws of organizations, is the inability to pivot, which springs forth only from mere pride. We have to shed pride. We have to take up the idea that there's so much that we don't know, incorporate that, modify it, analyze it, and determine whether or not it's something that we want to actuate in our organization, in our lives. This is trap number 3, is that dominant logic thinkers, dominant logic leaders surround themselves with yes men. And these are the issues that arise. You look at the Nixon administration, for instance, yes men. You look at some of the failed leaders throughout military history, yes men. You need competent people around you that will push back. And when you don't have people that will push back, you're stuck in your own mind, you're stuck without ideas, and you're not able to gravitate toward new pivot points. Dominant logic thinkers are the most dangerous people because dominant logic is always built on pride and the understanding, which is false, that what worked in the past will work in the future. What worked in the past will never always work in the future because times change. Remember, it's Heracles that said that no man steps in the same stream twice. That not only do the streams change, not only do bodies of waters change, not only do markets change, but organizations change, but men change, but women change, teams change. So as the situation is in flux, you have defining logos, a divining logos, if you will, that drives the organization forward, that drives your community, your church, your temple, your synagogue forward, but you have to be willing to pivot along the way because there are things that will block that mission, that block that vision. So you have to get around those. And finally, the fourth trap of being just a normal leader, of just being a normal organization, is that you get trapped in fear. They're all 4 fears, all the 4 traps are fears, but this one is the most deadly. That you fear the social penalties from stepping out and potentially failing. You fear the social penalties of being a contrarian thinker. You cannot fear those that are trapped in the dominant thought model because they are trapped. You have to press forward and not worry about what anyone else thinks, what society thinks, what your industry thinks. You have to set up a differentiation model that's not rooted in the dominant thought system of your industry. So what are the 4 things, the 4 secrets that if we do these things, we can become what Sheng-Wei Liu at Harvard Business Review says is a smart contrarian. Sheng-Wei Liu writes that there are 4 secrets to becoming a smart contrarian. The first thing is that you want to lean into cognitive dissonance. You want to lean into it. You want to accept it. You want to embrace cognitive dissonance. It was the great Koch brothers in their management principles, their MBA management principles, that write that you want to have confrontation sessions, that where there's purposeful confrontations to be able to beat up ideas and see if they can stand, see if these ideas can last. That's the only way you're going to get new ideas in your organization, is if you're going to put them to the test. And so I must embrace cognitive dissonance in our lives and our communities, and be able to beat around these ideas and see if they can stand on their own. Secondly, we have to cast a wide net. We have to go for ideas that are outside of our industries, that are outside our communities, that are outside even our nations, to figure out and observe what happens. This is where brainstorming sessions come into play, that if you can lead really, really great brainstorming sessions, and then you could reduce these, you can distill these down to the key levers that maybe have worked in a different paradigm, that worked at a different time, worked in a different context. This is where you might, in an organization, use a war strategy as a business strategy. This is where you might take a principle out of an ancient religion and apply it to a leadership style. Like you could, for instance, with Ezekiel 34, out of the Jewish writings, you could lead like a shepherd does. So you cast a wide net for ideas, you distill them down, and you find a few that are worthy of closer examination through cognitive dissonance and confrontational types of meetings. The third thing that you want to do is you want to focus on diversity. We have to get people that are from different backgrounds, across a wide spectrum involved in the decision making, because you want to hear from them. You want to hear from the minorities, people that are not in the upper echelon, people that are users of your product, users of your community services, the kids in the community, the old folks in the communities, the working class. You want to hear from everyone, because people will have really, really great ideas. And those really great ideas will come out of nowhere. If they were the common ideas that everyone had, they would not be strategically differentiatable. So you're looking for that little nugget. You're looking for that 1 in 1,000 idea. And it could come from anywhere. Where it's most likely not going to come is the people that you see every day, you associate with every day. They generally come from someone that you would never have thought to ask before. This is where diversity really comes into play. The final item is you must think of yourself as an outsider, not an insider. To the industry, you're the outsider. You are the cavalier. In Texas, we call them cowboys. You're the cowboy. You're the one that pushes back against the constraints of your industry, of your organization. You're the one that demands something higher and better for your community. You're the one that takes your synagogue, your temple, your church, and you run it like it's a business, but for a higher purpose. The why is different, that drives the operational excellence of your nonprofit, for instance. And so we need to run this as an outsider. And we have to treat it like it's a process where cognitive dissonance, where diversity, where the outsider mentality drive. And once we do this, we can start moving into the area of becoming a smart contrarian within the likes of Ray Dalio and Peter Thiel and the great contrarians of investing and of business and of war strategies. Remember, only a living thing can swim against the stream. Live with candor. Live with a differentiation strategy. Live to push the envelope on what's possible so that you can incorporate, you can grow, you can analyze. Yes, you can fail, but then also you can overcome and push the boundaries of what you and your community organization can do as you move forward into the next phase of your leadership as the smart contrarian leader.